June 3rd, 1956, corner of 138th Street and Lenox Avenue, Harlem, 4:17 p.m., school just let out. Bumpy Johnson walked home holding his daughter's hands, 12-year-old Ruthie on his left, 8-year-old Margaret on his right. He carried their school books under his arm, math homework, history assignments, normal father things. The afternoon sun filtered through the brownstones. Kids played stickball in the street. Mrs. Chen swept the steps of her vegetable stand. Another Tuesday in Harlem. Then a patrol car rolled up. Detective Michael O'Reilly stepped out, 15-year veteran, known for pushing boundaries. 3 other officers flanked him. Back up. O'Reilly walked straight toward Bumpy, stopped 5 feet away. 40 neighbors watched from stoops, windows, doorways. Everyone went quiet. O'Reilly smiled, not friendly, predatory. Then he said it, loud enough for everyone to hear. Which one of your kids is legitimate? Bumpy? Ruthie's face twisted in confusion. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. 40 witnesses held their breath. Bumpy didn't move, didn't blink. His jaw tightened, eyes locked on O'Reilly. The schoolbook stayed tucked under his arm. His daughter's hands stayed in his. Complete silence. O'Reilly waited for the explosion, the mistake, the arrest-worthy reaction. It never came. Bumpy walked his daughters home, didn't say a word, didn't look back. But what he planned for the next 72 hours would send a message louder than any bullet. A message the NYPD still whispers about today. That badge, shield number 4782, it would be found in 17 pieces. But how and why did the NYPD commissioner personally visit Bumpy Johnson to make it stop? To understand why this question was the worst mistake of O'Reilly's career, you need to know 3 things. Who Bumpy's daughters really were, what O'Reilly thought he could get away with, and the one rule about Bumpy Johnson that even the mafia respected: never, ever touch his family. Bumpy Johnson controlled $3 million in Harlem's numbers racket by 1956. $3 million. But his most protected asset wasn't money. It was family. 51 years old, 30-year Harlem veteran. His territory stretched from 110th Street to 155th Street. The 5 families knew his power. The NYPD knew his reach. Everyone knew his code. Business is business, family is sacred. That code wasn't secret, it was law. The Italian mafia respected it. Street crews honored it. Even dirty cops knew where the line was drawn. Ruthie Johnson, his biological daughter, 12 years old, honor roll student at PS 184, smart as her father, loved mathematics, wanted to be a teacher. Margaret Johnson, adopted in 1945, her mother died of tuberculosis. The mother was Bumpy's close friend. He took Margaret in without hesitation, raised her as his own. No difference, no distinction. Margaret's adoption was an open secret in Harlem. Everyone knew, nobody cared. She was Bumpy's daughter, period. Until Detective Michael O'Reilly weaponized it. O'Reilly was 38 years old, 32nd Precinct, 15 years on the force. They called him the Irishman who doesn't back down. Aggressive tactics, boundary pusher, rule bender. He had a problem, Bumpy Johnson. 8 raids in 11 months, all failures, every single one, tipped off every time, informants in the precinct, eyes everywhere. O'Reilly couldn't touch Bumpy's operation. His captain gave him an ultimatum: produce arrests by July 1st or face demotion. O'Reilly got desperate. Desperate men make fatal mistakes. He thought he'd figured Bumpy out. Everyone knew Bumpy's reputation. Calculated, strategic, 3 moves ahead, never impulsive. That morning, O'Reilly told his partner exactly what he believed. Johnson's too smart to touch a cop. I'm untouchable. So he decided to use psychological warfare, provoke Bumpy publicly, make him lose control, create grounds for arrest. The insult wasn't random. O'Reilly knew Margaret was adopted. He researched it, planned it, weaponized a child's identity as a tactical move. Legitimate, that word carried double meaning. Legal status, personal worth. He said it in front of 40 neighbors. Mrs. Chen from the vegetable stand, Deacon Miles from 121st Street Baptist Church, Tommy 2 times, one of Bumpy's numbers runners. The whole block heard it. Margaret's adoption was never disrespected before, never questioned, never weaponized. She was Bumpy's daughter. That was the only truth that mattered in Harlem. But O'Reilly shattered that safety. In front of her sister, in front of her community, in front of her father. Ruthie heard the implication. Is my sister less than me? Are we different? Does blood matter more than love? The cost to Bumpy wasn't money, wasn't territory. It was his daughter's sense of safety, their sense of worth, their understanding that family means protection. In that moment, O'Reilly didn't just insult Margaret. He weaponized a child's identity in front of her sister and her community. Bumpy walked his daughters home, silent, tucked them into bed, kissed their foreheads, closed the door. At 11:47 p.m., he made 3 phone calls. FBI wiretap logs, declassified in 1987, confirmed this. Nat Pettigrew, his lawyer. Freddie Numbers Lucas, his accountant. One unknown number. That call lasted 47 seconds. Next morning, O'Reilly found all 4 tires on his patrol car slashed. Small message, warning shot. O'Reilly laughed, called it amateur hour. But Bumpy wasn't trying to scare him, he was studying him. And what Bumpy discovered in the next 48 hours would turn O'Reilly's badge into a trophy. Because O'Reilly thought he was untouchable because of his badge, Bumpy knew better. Badges don't make men untouchable, respect does. And O'Reilly had just lost all of his. For 72 hours, Harlem watched. O'Reilly kept patrolling, kept bragging to his precinct buddies that Johnson's all bark. But on June 6th, at 6 a.m., O'Reilly reached into his locker at the 32nd precinct. His badge was gone. And what happened next? Even the commissioner couldn't believe it. June 6, 1956, 6 a.m., the 32nd precinct locker room. O'Reilly opened his locker, reached for his badge. Empty clip, nothing. Panic hit, cold, immediate. Losing a badge is a fireable offense. Criminal charges possible. Career over. He tore through the locker, checked the floor, checked his jacket. Gone. Reported it to his sergeant. Badge stolen, must have been taken yesterday. But that was a lie. Jimmy Clips Morrison took it at 11 p.m. the previous night. Precinct janitor. 11 years on the job. On Bumpy's payroll for $75 a week. Nobody notices janitors. Nobody questions the man emptying trash bins. The badge began its journey. Shield number 4782. First stop, Eddie's Tavern, 142nd Street. Eddie Chen owned the place. Bartender for 20 years. O'Reilly drank there for 6 months. Free drinks. Every night. $200 owed. When Eddie asked for payment, O'Reilly threatened him. Badge in his face. Pay up and I'll find health violations. Eddie never forgot. He took the badge to his back room, metal file in hand. The scrape of metal on metal echoed, methodical, intentional, ceremonial. Each stroke of the file wasn't just removing copper alloy, it was removing O'Reilly's authority. Eddie filed down the eagle's head from the top of the badge. First piece, dropped it into a glass jar. The sound rang out like a coin, like payment, like justice. 1 down, 16 to go. Second stop, Morris Moe Williams, bookie, 147th Street. O'Reilly shook him down for $50 a month, every month, threatened arrest if he didn't pay, protection money to the police. Moo filed down the number 4 from the shield number, watched the metal shavings fall, smiled. Third stop, Rosa Martinez, street vendor. April 12th, O'Reilly kicked over her fruit cart. $85 in lost produce. Apples rolling into the gutter. She begged him to stop. He laughed. Rosa filed down the number 7, tears in her eyes, not from sadness, from satisfaction. 4th through 10th stops came rapid. The superintendent O'Reilly extorted. The numbers runner he beat. The shopkeeper whose nephew O'Reilly arrested on false charges. The seamstress whose daughter O'Reilly harassed. Each person, one piece of the badge. 17 people touched that badge over 36 hours. Each person knew exactly who sent it. None of them asked why. They'd been waiting for permission. This was Harlem's reckoning. Bumpy just gave them the tools. 11th stop, Deacon Miles, 121st Street Baptist Church. He was there when O'Reilly insulted Margaret, watched the little girl cry. Deacon didn't file the badge down, he bent it, center warped with pliers, the eagle twisted permanently, destroyed from the inside. This wasn't just destruction, this was testimony. But here's what made this genius. O'Reilly had no idea where his badge was, no idea who took it. And Bumpy? He was visible the entire time. Eating at Wells' restaurant, playing chess at Small's Paradise, visiting his daughter's school, alibis stacked like armor. Because when you control information, you control everything. Meanwhile, O'Reilly searched desperately. Checked evidence lockup, interrogated precinct staff, filed formal reports. June 7th, O'Reilly suspended without pay. Standard protocol for lost badge. His captain gave him 48 hours. Find it or you're done. But the badge wasn't lost. It was being passed through Harlem like communion. By hour 24, every cop in the 32nd precinct knew O'Reilly had messed with Bumpy Johnson. By hour 36, they were avoiding him in the hallways. Nobody wanted to be near a man who'd crossed that line. 16 people had touched that badge. 16 pieces removed, bent, scarred. But Bumpy saved the 17th piece for someone special. And when O'Reilly found out who, that's when he realized his career was over. June 8, 1956, 9 a.m., Marcus Garvey Park. O'Reilly received a call, anonymous, meet an informant, corner bench, come alone. He went. What choice did he have? His badge was gone, his career hung by a thread. 9:17 a.m., overcast sky, park nearly empty. He saw the jar first, glass mason jar, sitting on a bench. Copper pieces inside caught the grey light, glinting. O'Reilly picked it up, hands shaking, recognized his shield number etched on the largest fragment, 4782. He looked up. Bumpy Johnson sat 15 feet away, adjacent bench, calm, hands folded like he was waiting for a bus. Behind Bumpy stood 12 people, semicircle formation. Eddie Chen, Moo Williams, Rosa Martinez, Deacon Miles, others O'Reilly recognized, every single one. O'Reilly's first instinct, reach for his gun, but his holster was empty, suspended officer, no service weapon. Bumpy spoke, voice calm, measured 8 words. 17 pieces. 1 for every person you wronged. O'Reilly's throat tightened. Bumpy didn't stand, didn't raise his voice, spoke like a professor delivering a lecture. You thought insulting my daughter would provoke me, make me sloppy, give you your arrest. Pause. But I don't work sloppy. Detective. I work thorough. Bumpy pointed to each person in the semicircle, named them one by one. Eddie, you owe him $200. Moo, you extorted him. Rosa, you destroyed her livelihood. O'Reilly's eyes darted between faces, recognized every single one, people he'd squeezed, threatened, humiliated. Each of them filed down one piece of your badge, your authority, your identity. The 12 people didn't move, silent jury. These aren't my soldiers, detective. These are your victims. I just gave them permission. O'Reilly tried to speak, nothing came out. But Bumpy wasn't finished, because he'd saved the most devastating piece for last. And when he revealed who filed down the 17th fragment, O'Reilly's legs nearly gave out. Bumpy pulled an envelope from his coat pocket, handed it to O'Reilly. Inside, a photograph. Danny Sullivan, O'Reilly's rookie partner, 23 years old, holding the badge's eagle wing, piece number 17. Your partner, the kid you've been training for 6 months. He filed down the last piece. Cost me $500. He did it yesterday morning, right before you went on patrol together. O'Reilly dropped the envelope. Betrayal hit harder than any punch. That's how far your respect reaches, detective. Not even the rookie trusts you. Bumpy stood, adjusted his coat, final words delivered with surgical precision. You wanted to know which of my daughters is legitimate? Both. Because family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty, something you'll never understand. O'Reilly managed 2 words, desperate, broken. What do you want from me? Bumpy's response, 8 words, final. Nothing. You already gave me everything I needed. The semicircle of 12 didn't move, didn't speak. Silent jury, verdict delivered. Deacon Miles stepped forward, placed his hand on the jar. This is Harlem's verdict. O'Reilly. Guilty. Bumpy walked away, didn't look back. 12 people followed, one by one, until O'Reilly stood alone in the park, holding a jar containing his destroyed career. O'Reilly had a badge, a gun, and the law. Bumpy had something stronger, a community that remembered every injustice. Badges can be destroyed. Communities, they last forever. O'Reilly reported to his captain that afternoon, told him the badge was destroyed by unknown individuals. He was fired on the spot. But the real consequences, those were just beginning, because what happened to O'Reilly became a case study in police academies, and a warning every cop in New York learned to respect. June 9, 1956, Detective Michael O'Reilly terminated from the NYPD. 15-year career ended. Official reason listed in his personnel file. Loss of department property and conduct unbecoming. But everyone knew the real reason. He crossed Bumpy Johnson, insulted his daughter, paid the price. Blacklisted from law enforcement. No precinct in New York City would hire him. Not Manhattan, not Brooklyn, not the Bronx. Word spread fast. This cop disrespected Bumpy's family. Stay away. September 1956. O'Reilly moved to Boston, worked private security, shopping malls, office buildings, from detective to mall cop in 3 months. He never filed charges, never spoke publicly about what happened, because to admit it meant admitting 17 people hated him enough to destroy his career piece by piece. Danny Sullivan, O'Reilly's rookie partner, the one who filed down piece 17, transferred to Brooklyn precinct, promoted to detective in 1959. Bumpy's influence protecting him for his cooperation, loyalty rewarded. But the badge incident rippled far beyond one corrupt cop. June 15th, NYPD Commissioner Stephen Kennedy visited Bumpy at Wells Restaurant. Unscheduled, no official record, no press, no backup. Kennedy's driver was Thomas Briggs. In 1973, during the Knapp Commission hearings, Briggs testified under oath about what he heard that day. The commissioner told Bumpy, "Your family's off limits. In exchange, no more badge incidents. New precinct policy, unofficial, officers briefed, Bumpy Johnson's daughters are not investigative targets, period." The 17-piece story spread through NYPD ranks like wildfire, became cautionary tale, whispered in locker rooms, shared during night shifts. Don't mess with family, especially Bumpy Johnson's family. Police Academy. Instructors used the O'Reilly case as an example. They didn't name him, didn't need to. Everyone knew. Community backlash against officer misconduct. Real consequences exist. The 5 families took note. If Bumpy could dismantle a cop without violence, his intelligence network was deeper than anyone realized. Information was his weapon, and information was deadlier than bullets. In Harlem, Margaret and Ruthie never got harassed again, walked to school safely every single day until graduation. No cops stopped them. No one questioned them. The invisible shield their father built held strong. Bumpy understood what most men in power never learn. Revenge doesn't require violence. It requires precision. O'Reilly wanted to break Bumpy by attacking his family. Instead, Bumpy used O'Reilly's own victims as weapons. This is how you build untouchable authority, not through fear, but through being the person your community calls when they need justice. The badge wasn't destroyed for revenge, it was destroyed as education, a lesson in consequences. FBI field reports from 1956 to 1958 state clearly, Johnson's network extends into NYPD ranks, including civilian staff and junior officers. Knapp Commission testimony from 1973, Thomas Briggs confirmed the Kennedy-Bumpy meeting happened. O'Reilly's personnel file, declassified in 2001, terminated June 9, 1956, badge number 4782, listed as destroyed, unrecovered. This is the difference between gangsters and legends. Gangsters react with violence. Legends orchestrate consequences. Bumpy turned O'Reilly's cruelty into a symphony of accountability. 17 instruments, one devastating song. But this wasn't even Bumpy's most calculated move, because what he did when the IRS tried to seize his daughter's college fund. That story shows why Bumpy Johnson stayed untouchable for 30 years. The 17-piece badge became more than evidence of one cop's downfall. It became proof of a principle Bumpy lived by. Touch my family, and I won't destroy you with bullets. I'll destroy you with your own history. And that lasts forever. Bumpy Johnson kept one photograph in his office until his death in 1968. Danny Sullivan holding badge piece number 17. Every visitor saw it. Every soldier, every business partner, every cop who came calling. It wasn't a trophy, it was a textbook, a teaching tool, a reminder that strategy beats strength. Bumpy's method was surgical. He didn't kill O'Reilly's body, he killed O'Reilly's authority, reputation, and career. This is why Bumpy ruled Harlem for 30 years without becoming a target. He understood that power isn't about domination. It's about demonstrating what happens when you cross the line. 17 pieces, 17 people, one message, respect is non-negotiable. Detective Michael O'Reilly died in November 1994, Boston. Age 76, private security job, never married, estranged from the NYPD community. His obituary didn't mention police service. Danny Sullivan retired from the NYPD in 1982, 30-year career, lived in Brooklyn until his death in 2003. Margaret Johnson graduated from Hunter College in 1962. Married in 1965, 2 children, lived in Harlem until her death in 2016. Ruthie Johnson graduated from Hunter College in 1966, became a teacher, 3 children. The badge pieces were never recovered, official status, destroyed. Rumor says Bumpy melted the pieces into a pocket watch, gave it to Margaret on her wedding day. True or not, the message remains. A father's love is the most dangerous force in the world when you threaten it. Margaret Johnson said in a 1998 interview, "My father never talked about that day. But every time someone disrespected family in his presence, he'd glance at that photograph. That's all it took." This is why 60 years later, Harlem still tells the story of the 17-piece badge, not as folklore, as fact. But the badge incident, that was personal justice. What Bumpy did when the IRS came for his daughter's college fund was professional warfare. Because when federal agents froze $47,000 in savings, money Bumpy had legally set aside for Margaret and Ruthie's education, they expected him to fight in court. Instead, Bumpy made one phone call. Within 72 hours, the IRS agent leading the investigation was transferred to Alaska. The $47,000 was returned with interest. And the agency added an internal memo to Bumpy's file that read, "Do not pursue." How did he do it? The answer involves a congressman, a stolen ledger, and the most brilliant blackmail Harlem ever witnessed. That story is next. Because when you threaten Bumpy Johnson's family, you don't just lose your badge, you lose everything. The legend of Bumpy Johnson isn't just about power. It's about knowing that the most devastating weapon isn't a gun, it's information. And Bumpy, he had files on everyone. The badge was just the beginning.